Hi all, this is Dima and GT Boxing Channel with you. In this edition we continue to talk about the fights that ended the careers of great fighters. This time we will talk about a 4-weight class winner, a skilled and technical American of Mexican descent, Mikey Garcia. We go over the career of the 35-year-old former champion, his successes, his disagreements with the promoter, his comeback and of course, the fatal fight. But first things first. Just have to give the video a like before you watch, because it's very important for me. Thank you. And now let's go.
Blow it up like a volcano.
Miguel Angel Garcia is his real name and Mikey is his alias. Miguel was born December 15, 1987, in Ventura, California. His parents came to the USA from Mexico and Garcia's family had the first-hand knowledge of boxing. Miguel's father, Eduardo, was an amateur boxer and later became a good trainer. Fernando Vargas became world champion under his guidance. The older brother, Roberto, was a professional boxer who managed to win the IBF belt. Another brother, Daniel, was also a fighter and trainer. Not surprisingly, Miguel followed in the footsteps of his relatives. He started his amateur career at the age of 14 and quickly began to make progress. His first serious achievement was a silver medal at the National Junior Olympics in 2003. In 2004 Angel won the Golden Gloves among juniors, and in 2005 he won the Police Boxing Championship. Incidentally, Garcia graduated from the Ventura County Police Academy. Mikey Garcia had his first professional fight in 2006. At that time he defeated Herrera Mendoza by unanimous decision. However, the next 8 opponents were either KO'd or TKO'd. Garcia gained experience boxing little-known fighters until he built up a record of 20 wins and 0 losses. After that he won his first title. After beating Tomas Villa by TKO in the first round, Mikey won the IBF USBA flyweight belt. A few fights later, Miguel faced Matt Remillard and took the WBC NAF and WBO NABO titles. He was able to defend those belts in 3 fights, sending his opponents to knockouts each time. The winning streak continued and Garcia became the holder of a 30-0 record. Then, it was time to fight for the WBO and the Ring World title. Mikey's opponent was the Mexican Orlando Salido. The fight, held at the legendary Madison Square Garden Arena, ended unexpectedly. The bout was scheduled for 12 rounds, and the boxers made it to 9. Miguel dominated the fight, but in the last second Orlando drove his head into Garcia's nose and broke it after a thrown punch. The referee paused the fight, and when it became clear that Mikey could not continue, the judges issued a technical decision. Garcia won by unanimous decision and thus became the 2-time world champion. After a successful run in the featherweight division, Miguel moved up to the 2nd featherweight division. There he defeated Roman Martinez and became the owner of the WBO belt. He managed to defend that title once. After beating Juan Burgos, Mikey quit for over 2 years, because of a disagreement with his promoter Bob Arum. He came back on July 30, 2016, with a TKO over Elio Rojas. Garcia went on to compete in heavier categories. After defeating Dejan Zlatikanin, he became WBC lightweight champion of the world. The American then defeated Sergey Lipinets and won the IBF welterweight title. After such success, he decides to return to the lightweight circuit, where he negotiated a unification with then IBF champion Robert Easter. The smaller Mikey outworked his opponent through timing and technique throughout the fight. The slightly gaunt Easter could not keep up with the WBS champion, ending up knocked out in the 3rd round. In the end, Mikey celebrated the victory with a unanimous decision from the judges. Then there was a lot of talk about a high-profile fight with then WBA lightweight champion Vasyl Lomachenko of Ukraine. Negotiations, arguments, and later misunderstandings and disruption of the intriguing confrontation. There were talks about various possible fights, even negotiations about his meeting with the legendary Manny Pacquiao, but the parties could not find any common ground.
Blow it up like a volcano. Like a volcano.
Still, the 4 welterweight conqueror was drawn to new accomplishments, and he chose the formidable American IBF welterweight champion Errol Spence as his new target. People say he's very dangerous, but that's the kind of fight I want. I know I can fight at welterweight without losing my best qualities. I believe the greater the risk, the greater the glory. I've proven that I'm one of the best champions of today, and I don't have to wait for anyone. Lomachenko refused to fight me many times, and at this point in my career I can't stop. This is my time and I want to make history. And here's what Spence himself, who at the time maintained a striking record of 24 fights, 24 wins, 21 by knockout, said. I think Garcia is the best option for me at the moment, as Sean Porter and Danny Garcia are fighting for the vacant WBC title and Keith Thurman is still recovering from injury. He wants to be great, he wants to move up in weight and take the title away from me, but it's not going to happen. It's definitely going to be an easy fight. He's a gifted boxer, but I see myself winning. I don't see anything that's going to alarm me. He's got good technique, but I don't think his punching will be dangerous for me at welterweight, Spence told Showtime. ESPN Sports published their experts' opinions on the March 16 fight, when 4 welterweight champion Mikey Garcia will move up to his 5th weight class and try to take the IBF welterweight title from Errol Spence. 12 of 15 experts believe that the more powerful and bigger Spence will win. 8 of them predicted an early victory, and they say that it's not just his size, but his size combined with his great boxing talent and skills that would win Spence. To quote a famous TV commentator and trainer Teddy Atlas, not only is Spence bigger and stronger, but he can pressure his opponent relentlessly. The question is, can Garcia stay one step ahead of him, controlling the distance and executing his own attacks? I think he can. But for how long can he do it? Let's not forget that Spence isn't just bigger, he's good at boxing too. Garcia will start the fight well, but Spence's jab will allow him to get closer, where his body work will begin to wear down the smaller opponent. Still, 3 experts, journalist Steve Kim, former referee Joe Cortez and 4-weight world champion Juan Manuel Marquez believe Garcia can win by decision. I'm going to go out on a limb and say Garcia is going to come up with a big surprise, Steve Kim said. Yes, like everyone else I was skeptical about his chances when talk of this fight began and the contract was signed, but the more I watched Garcia and the way he prepared for this fight, combined with his technique and intelligence, the more I thought he could not only give a competitive fight, but win. Garcia has great technique, and he will be tough enough to withstand Spence's onslaught and win by decision and validate his claim to be the best welterweight in the world. In the reader vote, Spence was favored by 61% of those who voted, and 3/4 of them thought he would win early. 36% of voters bet on Garcia, and 3% of the 7,000 who voted thought the fight would end in a draw. Now let's talk about Garcia's preparation for the mega fight. Mikey started preparing for Spence back in December. He worked with physiologist Remy Korcham and nutritionist Victor Conti, founder of SNEC. Victor Conti emphasizes classes with difficult oxygen conditions, hypoxic training. The essence is that the boxer is training on the plane, but thanks to special equipment the conditions are created at high altitude. The main advantage of such work is absence of acclimatization. The first point is strength training in a hypoxic mask, which allows you to control the level of oxygen consumed. Such training is often used by marathon and long-distance runners to increase the number of red blood cells in the blood and increase endurance. Garcia also worked in a hypoxicator on a bag. At this point, the fighter consumed only 14.5% oxygen. In the mountains, about 30% oxygen is consumed during the same work. The second point is to work in an airtight chamber called the dome. It's a 4-meter-high ball with a constant 10% oxygen level inside. Here, Garcia did his usual footwork with the trainers. Training in the dome alternated with recovery work in a chamber with 50% oxygen. Conti says the SNAC work should improve Garcia's stamina. On March 15, 2019, the official weigh-in for tonight's boxing show took place in Dallas, USA. The contestant of the main fight of the evening, IBF welterweight champion Errol Spence, showed at 146.25 pounds, 66.3 kilograms, and his opponent, for weight class world champion Mikey Garcia, was slightly lighter at 145.5 pounds, 66 kilograms. And so, on March 16, 2019, AT&T Stadium, the fight begins. From the first rounds, Spence marked his advantage by using his size, particularly the length of his arms. The champion confidently kept a comfortable range and scored points by shooting straight punches and side kicks with both hands. Garcia, for his part, took a very long time to engage, and his quick jab in this fight was completely neutralized. On top of that, the weight gain reduced Garcia's speed, so even in that component he was inferior to Spence.
Keeping his head really stiff right now. He needs to move it a little bit more.
Boxing jabs, that's more than double the landing. Well, he's landing there, right?
Closer to the championship round, there was already a one-sided beating. Errol increased his pace, he started to punch more often and he would shoot the inferior opponent on choice. Garcia bravely withstood the powerful attacks of the champion and kept moving forward, but all he managed to show in the fight was courage and toughness. He survived all 12 rounds, with the judges calling it 120-107 and twice 120-108 in favor of Spence. According to CompuBox, Spence landed 345 accurate punches out of 1,082 and Garcia only 75 out of 406. Half of Spence's power shots, 237 of 464, were accurate. Garcia landed 54 accurate power punches out of 218. Still, Mikey managed to have a successful welterweight bout, defeating Jesse Vargas on points. Mikey took another big break, came back at the end of 2021, against little-known Spaniard Sandor Martin and lost by the majority decision. Apparently, this unsuccessful performance sobered up the American fighter, and soon Garcia decides to hang up the gloves on the nail for good. It was the loss to Spence that broke the four-division conqueror's career. Garcia was a solid champion who was not afraid of a challenge, was even stubborn at times, did not calculate risks, went forward for the sake of the legacy, for which he deserves respect. What do you think of Mikey Garcia's career? Do you regret that you never got to see him fight Loma, and who should the next issue of this column be about? Let me know in the comments. That's all for now. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and click on the bell, that you always will see the new episodes first. Bye, everyone.